What's going on, guys? My name is Tyler, and today I wanted to show you guys some updated competitive Cypher setups on Haven. With competitive right around the corner, these setups can be go-to options and some switch-ups for any bomb site you may end up defending. Real quick, before I start, I just wanted to let you guys know that I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we do follow games on Sunday nights. So go check out my Twitch channel, link for that is in the description. We also have a Discord server for all the latest on scheduling for my streams and anything Valorant related too. Link for that is in the description too. So starting off at A, I'm just going to go over the camera spots that I use. You can put them on these rocks back here in any of these spots. And these are great for watching both short and long. It's pretty exposed, so that's one of the riskier options that you have. You can also get a camera up here.
Yes, this should do.
If you back up enough and look down and try and get it right on the bottom of that part if you jump and get it at the right time. This will see the whole site, and it's pretty high up, so a lot of people don't usually look this high to see a camera like that. There are also some options if you jump to this crate over here. And if you get up here, you can hit your cameras all around here. And then there's some spots back here too once the wall goes down. And you can also walk back onto this part of the window. And you can put your camera in spots like up here. I like this spot in particular because it's really hard to see from anywhere on site, and it sees the entire site and part of A short too. And you can also see a little bit of B. So that camera is one of the most effective ones for this site. So I'm just going to leave this one up here just to remember that this is part of the main setup for this map. The other main setup that I usually put it on is that spot right there. As far as tripwires go, for the early rounds, like pistol round and the second round right after that, I usually like to put my tripwires here and sometimes here, depending on how you're going to want to play this tripwire. But I usually start off sitting right here because if you look at the top of the map, you can see how far people will be able to hear me. That's about the range that I'll be able to hear enemies too. So right off the start of the round, when the barriers lift, you'll be able to hear enemies pushing in towards a lobby right away. And then usually if you hear more than one, you'll know that the push is probably coming towards you, and you can call that out to your teammates. So maybe someone from C can rotate, or someone from B, or somewhere you can start getting some help towards A. Now with these two tripwires, you want them to be a fair distance back, so that way they can't shoot you from this corner right away if you're playing this corner for both wires. If the wire, for this one in particular, if it's all the way back here,
That goes there.
then once the enemies are tripping that, they're going to have an angle on you almost immediately, and they'll be able to shoot you before you can shoot them. So if you have a tripwire somewhere like this, and you know this is safe right here, they'll be tripping that, and then you can peek them, and they won't really know that you're coming, or they won't know the timing of it. So I like to switch up those tripwires there, but these are the main two tripwires that I like to use because they cover the entire bomb site. You can switch things up and put wires in different spots on the map on this bomb site,
This is a nice spot.
but just be cautious because if you use two spots like this and you're holding somewhere like right here just to hold long mostly, you're exposed from short because there's no tripwire letting you know that somebody passed through. So you just have to be careful of that and keep an eye on this side if you're having the tripwires here and holding towards long. As far as traps go, I usually like to hold on to my traps just because I can't pick them up once I throw them. So if you don't use them in a round, it's kind of a waste of a trap. But they're very effective for slowing pushes down. So if you do set up traps early, you can put one there and set it up. And that's about almost 8 seconds of the enemies being very wary of pushing through, and they'll probably just stop and wait for the trap to go down. So don't forget about your traps, and don't only use them for one ways because they're really good just to prevent pushes overall and to buy time for you and your team. It's just up to you whether you want to set them up pre-round and potentially waste the money in case they don't push that way, or if you want to hold on to them as long as possible, and then you can use them for retakes or to help defend on other bomb sites. Now when it comes to positioning on A, at the start of the round, I usually like to start over here just to see if I can hear anybody coming towards A. And for the pistol rounds at least, I'll be able to keep my tripwires around here and play off of them effectively if enemies are pushing this way. But a better spot to hold is over here because you have this whole box to play off of. And if enemies do push through one way or the other, you can play around the box a little bit more than if you're just standing over here. Because if you're standing over here and the enemies get by, you're completely exposed and you're not going to last very long. So holding back here is definitely a better option. And you can also retreat back this way too if they're pushing up long. Another spot obviously is Heaven. If you have a weapon that allows you to have some range on it, which is basically anything except SMGs, you can hold up here and have angles towards any entrance that the enemies may be coming towards, and you have a very easy retreat, very safe retreat back to here. Of course, then you'll have to retake through here and push through here, or you can wait a little bit and go back through Heaven. But either way, you're playing your life a little bit more up there, and both of those options are safer than over here. So use this as a switch up. You can also hold angles like over here with something like a shotgun or an SMG if you have to, which again is kind of an all or nothing spot, because if you get caught out here, you're pretty much dead, because you can't, unless you have vision blocking abilities ready to go and you get lucky enough to not get shot, you'll be able to push back through. But spots like that are way more risky than a spot where you can effectively retreat from. Now moving on to B. This bomb site I like to hold a lot because it's really easy to rotate to A, garage, or to C. And Cypher has a pretty easy time soloing this, or at least holding it long enough for teammates to rotate to help you. So for cameras, some more basic ones, more offensive, this will let you get a peek on the enemy much earlier in the round, but it's a lot more exposed, is right here, because you can see the window right away. That camera usually gets shot out very quickly though. The camera that I like to use mostly on B, you can line up right here before the round starts, so you're not taking any angles anywhere. Once the barrier goes down, you can aim your camera up here and then jump and put it over here, or you can even put it back further. Sometimes it'll get shot out if it's too close. You can put it back up somewhere like here, and you'll be able to see enemies once they're pushing up. I have plenty of times where enemies will just walk right past this camera, and I'll be seeing the backs and be able to count how many there are and how many are pushing up. You can retreat to over here and start playing off of what you see on your camera from this cubby right here. As far as tripwires go, you have your basic setups, which is right here, and right here. These are the main 3 tripwires you probably should be using just to help slow enemies down when they're pushing onto site, but there's a whole lot of switch ups here too. You can find some really weird tripwires, like this one here will go across the door, and the enemies won't be able to dodge this one at all. You could also attach it in other weird spots, like up here, but just keep in mind how high or low your tripwires are, because enemies can easily dodge this and you won't get any information as to whether an enemy passed by it or not. But sometimes having switch ups like this for when the enemy is quickly pushing through, they're not going to be able to shoot that out at all, and they're not going to expect something like that. Other tripwires you could run are just having this one straight up in the middle, or you don't even have to use that if you're paying most of your attention towards mid. You can cover rotates too. If some of your teammates maybe aren't holding that well, or maybe they're pushing up early and dying, you can hold your flanks with those tripwires, or just anywhere along these areas, even the back of garage there, or anywhere in this hallway too, just to give yourself some more coverage. So that's it for B. This is the main camera spot here. This is the thing I want to focus on the most, just because of how effective it is and how long it could stay up. Enemies rarely shoot that camera out, and it'll last you the entire round. So for positioning on B, I like to hold back here mostly if I know that they're pushing this way. Very rarely will I take a challenge on mid right away, just because on defense it's more effective to not take an early challenge, just because you have time on your side. So if you take this early challenge and die, it opens up way more options for your enemies, and then if you getting a kill here immediately. If you get a kill right away, it does make it easier for you, but you're running a risk that's a lot more to lose than you have to gain. So normally I like to play a little bit more passively and wait to hear people on my camera or see them coming through. And then holding back here is always the best option, because you can play off your camera so effectively. You can also play anywhere back here, because again, you can play off the camera a lot from pretty much any angle here. It's just that you can't really see very far back towards this section over here, and you're a little bit more cut off, so it's a bit less of an effective camera for holding on this side, but this is still an option for you to hold from. Or you can hold this angle too, which you'll pretty much be able to see all of what your camera sees for the most part, more so than over here. So this is another option for you to hold on B, and that spot over there and this one here give you effective ways to retreat to and play your life and wait for teammates to support you. If you're playing in the middle, you could go to either side, and with vision blocking abilities, it makes it easy to get through to a safer spot, and you can also play on the gong back here. Another spot that I like to hold a lot is garage, because of how easy it is, again, to rotate to B and to C. When you're holding garage, you're kind of also helping out with C mostly. You're almost tasked with C just automatically because of this connector right here. And so when I'm holding garage, starting off with cameras, one of my main cameras is just up here. I'm surprised that Riot hasn't patched this out yet, but I won't be surprised when they do. This one's pretty high, and you can see pretty deeply in towards the courtyard over here. Enemies don't usually check this high until they start catching on to that camera, so use this one early, and then once they start shooting it out, you can start switching it up more. You can use passive cameras like up here or in that corner too, just to watch their backs as they push through. Or you can just use the sides too. This will give you more vision out the door, but enemies are more likely to see that. Or you can put it over on this side too, And enemies don't really look that high on that side, and it'll give you information as they push in. As far as tripwires go, the barrier starts off right about here, so you can line this one up before the round starts. Or if you want to, you can cover the door itself too by putting in any of these spots, but these are much more likely to get shot out if enemies are walking through immediately. They'll be able to see those tripwires go up. You can also use these spots to put a tripwire out and pick it up really fast to see if anybody tries to shoot it out. But I like to use that tripwire there just to help me out in garage if I'm holding up in the window, or right over here. And then I also always like to throw a tripwire over here to help out on C, because again, if you're holding garage, you're kind of semi-responsible for C too. But generally for garage, there's always going to be a wire here. And if you don't want to hold this, you can sometimes put a wire here instead. And instead of this one, you can hold garage extremely passively by putting wires over here and holding somewhere like this. With your camera up back here, you'll have all the info you need, and you'll be very safe back here with a tripwire covering you here, your camera being able to watch anybody going through, and you'll have this wire helping out anybody towards C. And you can back this one up too if you want your teammate to be able to have an easier time playing the tripwire. Because from a spot like this, they'll be able to see anybody tripping it, or over here too. So positioning for the garage, obviously you can play on the window and take any early challenges if you have a weapon to do that, and if you feel confident enough to do that. Or you can play more all or nothing spots like this corner, or this corner, and just hope that you can either kill everybody that pushes through, or only one person comes through and you get a pick there. Or another effective spot I like to hold, if your tripwires are up here and here, you could hold this angle right here, maybe get a pick or two, and then retreat back towards C, where you can hold here and play your next tripwire, or hold, if you have enough time and enough space to cross over to this side too, you can then hold this tripwire too, and it'll give you a whole lot more space than if you're holding a corner like this or any of these corners. Always giving yourself options to retreat is always a good idea, because playing your life is the most valuable thing you can do on defense. Staying alive as long as possible makes it easier for you to run out the clock and gives the enemies a lot more pressure to get the bomb down with more people alive. That'll always be harder than if they have a significant man advantage. Now moving on to C, this site can also be held very effectively by Cypher. There's some really great camera spots here too. One of the main cameras you can use is going over here and putting it back up here. This is again another super passive camera that will just see them when they're pushing onto site. But if an enemy is pushing onto C and they're checking all their corners and all their angles over here, they're not really going to look up that high for a camera. So that's one good option there. One other spot that I really like to use my camera is when the round starts, you can line yourself up along the barrier right here and jump and put the camera up back here and then retreat right away to hold back into a more standard position. And then once they're pushing up towards C, no one's really going to look up this high in the cubby behind them once they check this corner, and they'll only really check that if there's a smoke that goes up initially, or if they have an omen. So they'll instantly push past here, check the corner, and not look like that's really high for a camera to be. And if they're hanging out in the cubby and stuff like that, you'll be able to see them and anybody around here. So that's my favorite camera for this spot. That one's another really good one for a switch up, but mainly I'm going towards that camera. And for tripwires, the same logic applies for C and garage as when you're holding garage to C. I usually feel semi-responsible for garage too, especially because if you lose map control here and you lose whoever's holding garage, you're completely open back here, and B is also open too, and they also have a way to get to A. So garage is very important, so being able to help out there is always a good idea. So the same tripwire is there. You can always put that one there just to help out the guy in garage, or you can hold the tripwire here to give you some more help if they manage to kill them and you think they might push through this way. The other tripwire, very standard, you can just put a tripwire here. That will be open with the barrier, and that'll slow down any pushes towards C. You can also put it back here if you think they're going to be pushing this close towards you, or over here too. And this you can hold back here for a long time, and then if anybody tries to push, you'll be able to play off this tripwire or this tripwire. You just will give up part of the bomb site if they do get on, and they will be able to get the bomb down if they get past and get this close. So just keep that in mind if you're using tripwires that far back. And the same logic applies for B, garage, and C for your traps. You can set them up pre-round and use it to slow down the enemies, or you can save it for when the round is going, because you won't be able to pick up your traps. So decide what way you want to use your cages and try and use them in the most effective ways that you can. And for one-way traps, this is one of the most effective ones that I know for C, and it's very easy to remember. You just have to line up right in here, and look right where the colors change.
That goes there.
And you can throw a trap and get it stuck on the horn.
I will find you.
And when the round starts, you can hold back here in this corner, and once you launch this trap, you'll be able to see all the way back towards the corner there. You'll be able to see feet and line up a chest shot. You can see that trap is really easy to set up. I barely lined that one up there, and it was very hittable. And for the enemies, they're not going to be able to see much. That you can see it once they're further away, but as they get closer, it's harder and harder to see.
Cage trigger.
And if you time something like this right, they're not going to expect it at all, and you're going to get plenty of shots off and potentially plenty of kills before they react. The only issue with it is it's not very effective from this side because they can clearly see your whole body if you're holding this angle. So you have to be over here, which is a bit of a less effective corner because you don't have many spots to retreat to. If you get caught out here and you're pinned down over here, you can't really escape. You're stuck in this corner until either you get a kill or you get some help, or some vision blocking abilities can allow you to move. That's why holding over here is a lot more effective, because if you are getting pushed harder, you can retreat back to here, hold back towards CT, or even maybe go back into garage. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you found this updated guide useful. Positioning and playing off your equipment is a very important aspect of playing Cypher effectively. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and leave a comment letting me know which bomb site you like to hold on Haven. Again, go check out my Twitch channel and join the Discord server. Links to both are in the description down below. Thanks again for watching, guys.